this ending was ghetto! Hi. So in my last video talking about AI, art, animation, and everything, I had mentioned that I wanted to talk about Attack on Titan. Now I might do a video talking about the overall series, but in this video I want to specifically talk about that ending. Let's just go ahead and get into this. By the way, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hayes, and let's get right into this video. So we start off with this recap of the last few moments of the last episode, right? So the black dude flies them in through the plane and everything, barely getting in by the skin of their teeth. And just like I said in my last video, I want to start off by talking about the god level tier of animation that we're witnessing right now. This has to be some of the most intricate, detailed, like some of the most dynamic fight scenes. Like, I know anime is generally good for animation quality and everything, but I feel like this goes like so much into like above and beyond even that. Like the entirety of that fight on the Titan's body is just absolutely insane to me. So the scouts launch themselves outside of the plane and into the battlefield, right? Where they meet Zeke, of course, who is in his Beast Titan form, throwing the rocks at them as usual. I just absolutely love how all of the Titans that this body and Ymir form have this like root slash like tentacle like system that's like attaching them to the body of the founding Titan. I just love that. That's so unnecessarily like kind of creepy. I actually love that. When I tell you that animation pops off here, like it's absolutely insane. And Reiner and Pieck get active immediately. Love that for them. Title card, the Battle of Heaven and Earth. So in the beginning of this battle, we see Ymir watching over them and all the scouts and all this battle going on, kind of like this ghost that's like looming over and watching the battlefield happen, right? So Armin and them decide that it's best for Armin to go ahead and transform and pretty much bomb that entire area, hopefully destroying Eren and stopping the rumbling in the process, right? Until he gets snatched up. Why did they give him this like tentacle, like hentai anime like scene going on? Why is it in his mouth? Oh my god. They know what they're doing. Ymir did not come to play with one of y'all hoes. She can call forth the previous incarnations of the different Titan shifters. Not only that, but multiple versions of each person. The power that she has. So everybody get to scrapping, everybody in the house, man. So Pieck lets them know that she knows what's happening and that Ymir is essentially generating these previous incarnations to fight for her and everything. She then decides to go directly to Eren's neck. She gets active, my girl, wraps the dynamite around Eren's neck, and then she swiftly impales him. So now everybody trying to get Armin, fighting their way through Titans. Meanwhile, oh my god, why is it still in his mouth? So this next scene answers in a question that I had while watching this scene. So if Ymir can conjure up previous incarnations of Titans, wouldn't she be able to conjure up colossal Titans? Yep. Yeah, she can. Not just any colossal Titan, but Bertolt himself, which swiftly devours Reiner, and then produces this large shockwave that knocks everybody off the playing field. Levi spitting up blood, Connie's knocked out, dangling from his gear. Jean and Ryan are hanging off for dear life. And just when it looks like it's over, here comes Falco in his beast form to scoop up all of them with Annie and Gabby. So they talk strategy and mention Pieck, who, mind you, is still being impaled. Also, mind you, she's been there for like 30 minutes. Which, like, fair enough, if I was sitting there trying to defeat this giant, colossal, bone, skeleton monster to prevent him from stomping out all of humanity, and I'm over here fighting the ghost forms of different giant humanoid beings controlled by this ghost woman, I'd have to take a few minutes to contemplate my life too. So you know what, I'm not even mad at her. They're over here looking distraught about the fact that they have to stop holding back and go ahead and kill Eren, which I'm confused. Like, tag me in. I'll go ahead and handle it myself. Y'all don't even need to worry. So they split up. One group goes to save Armin near Eren's ass, and the other group goes towards Eren's neck. Pieck finally gets out of her Titan body and Oh my god, why'd she run like that? So Annie gets tagged into the rumbling as they try and find where Armin is, which is inside of this oak pie thing. They try to go after it, but there's just too many Titans that Ymir is throwing their way, right? Meanwhile, Armin's in this like weird state where like one part of him is like lying there motionless, and the other one of him is like trying to get his other half to like get up. It's like thinking he's dead, and he's just like, you're useless, I hate you, everyone's counting on you, and you're just sitting there doing nothing. Come to find out, he's sitting in the paths. I guess Eren had like sent him there or whatever, which we'll get to later. While this is happening, there's this depressing ass scene that's actually really effective in what it's trying to go for. So while this is all happening, there's this group of people, like this large group of people that are like trying to move away from the rumbling that is like a few feet away from them, right? So they're scrambling, they're pushed against the edge of a cliff, right? And it's this horribly depressing ass scene of everyone just panicking, screaming in horror. People are getting shoved off the cliff, people are dying. So there's this baby, and the baby is in their mother's arms, right? And as the mother gets pushed off, there's this random dude that saves the baby. It shows that even in the most horrific, nightmarish of situations, there's still some humanity left. By the random strangers are carrying this baby, trying to keep it away from the cliff, but away from the rumbling at the same time. They're all random strangers trying to help this baby. And I actually really like that the creator put this scene in here, because it shows that humanity still, even at the brink of a horrific situation, still have that bit of humanity left in them. So yeah, once Armin realizes he's in the paths, he sees Zeke building a sandcastle, right? So they have this conversation about the beginning of existence, primordial matter, and the nature of all living beings is to inherently multiply itself for survival. And to do that, it must keep changing forms in order to adapt and survive. It also implies that part of what made the Titans was Ymir's will and her desire to survive and become strong and powerful when coming in contact with this creature. Essentially to escape to a world where death didn't exist. Then the dead homies pull up in the past. You got Eren's dad, Proco, Marcel, Baratul, Ymir, the gay one, not the god one. Now they all take control of their like Titan shifting bodies out there on the skeleton. Gabi gets her shot and does what she does best and get one shot Gabi and puts a bullet in the head of that bull, goat, pig thing, whatever. Mikasa go ahead and gets Armin out, and one of the things that I love that season 4 did with Armin's character is that it made him not afraid to go ahead and get his lick in. Armin, once he like wakes up outside of the bull thing, whatever, it tries to get him back with that tongue. So Armin went ahead and popped one of them things right in the middle of its head, blew that whole thing up. Love that for him. So while the Titans and everyone are fighting, Zeke gives himself up to Levi, who swiftly and professionally handles it, takes care of it. And one interesting thing that they do with Ymir's character is that they explain why all Eldians can be accessed through the paths is because Ymir once again made that place where life and death technically did not exist. So these people still technically exist there, but she did that because she still craves that connection. She doesn't want to be lonely and everyone. So she created that idea of the past where everyone still exists so she could have that connection with people. So like everybody's still fighting. Eventually John gets to the detonator that Pieck had left there on Eren's neck. And when he gets to it, he blows Eren's head smooth the fuck off. So the hallucigenia pops out of Eren's skeletal body and tries to reattach itself to Eren's head, which the scouts recognize that from the last time it did that shit. So Reiner puts them paws on it, which, can I say, I love this creature's design. The hallucigenia is supposed to essentially be like the source of all living matter. I love how we saw it. I think that was like 3 times, and each time it got bigger. The first time we saw it was when Ymir first fused with it to create the Titans. The second time was when we saw it after Eren was swiftly handled by Gabi, and it tried to it did reattach itself to Eren's head. And then the third time, we see it in its full length outside of the human body. So now it's time for Armin to blow everything up. Right, so they all get the hell out of there. Armin does the thing, catastrophic explosion. We get this harrowingly quiet scene of like everyone trying to figure out if that was enough to like kill Eren and everything. We see Mikasa getting these headaches and these like visions of sorts, which it happens a couple times throughout this episode, which I was told it had something to do with like Ymir sending Mikasa or communicating with her or something like that. This is better explained within the manga, which I haven't read myself, so I might do that. So Armin's okay, obviously. Reiner's okay, a little scorched, but she's okay. But you know who's also okay? The Hallucigenia. And even worse, Eren's okay. Now, once again, I just love this creature's design, and also its sound design. I just love how it sounds so itchingly creepy and otherworldly. I love how even at the end of Ymir saying, F all this stuff, I'm tired of this, I just want this all to end, she still finds the energy to give Eren a 32-foot silk press. Then the Hallucigenia starts secreting this gas, which I wasn't sure what was happening at first, but then once Connie described that it reminded him of the gas that turned his entire village into pure titans, I said, are you kidding? My jaw dropped. I was just like, oh shit. Seeing all those they had to leave behind because, you know, Ackermans and people who are already Titan shifters can't, you know, turn into Titans. Seeing what we thought was Jean and Connie's like final moments was really sad. Partially takes a little bit away when we find out that they're later okay, but the scene was still good. So now everybody's scrapping. Reiner got this thing in a headlock as it tries to go for Eren. Armin grabbing Eren by his bundles. I ain't know Eren got ghetto like that. The Titan gang jumping Reiner. Pieck start biting bitches. Annie come through dragging this hoe by her feet. Get up. Stand up. She putting up a good fight, but she baby girl get her shit rocked. So Mikasa's still getting headaches, and she gets this vision of sorts where Eren is essentially showing her what their life could have been like if, oh god. That episode where right before Eren starts the rumbling, I think it was like the last time his friends had like seen him there before the rumbling started, and he was trying to get his last few moments of like happiness with his friends or whatever before he had to do the thing. And he went up to Mikasa and was just like, what are we? And apparently, as like he'll explain like later on in the episode, he tried to do things in order to sway things in a different direction to prevent this from happening. And one of the things is that by asking Mikasa, what are we? Mikasa, of course, says, you know, we're family and everything, which kind of leads to what this is. But he was essentially trying to test her to see if she'll confess her true feelings, because if she did, the most likely future was that Eren and Mikasa run off into the sunset together, run away, and live happily for the rest of Eren's remaining years. Mikasa finally decides this is all too much. She goes ahead and says, I'm going to go ahead and do the thing. She blasts through Eren's mouth. She and Eren lock eyes one last time, right before Mikasa's blade slices clean through his neck, killing him. Ymir watches as Mikasa does some, quite frankly, necrophiliac shit. Now, in this scene, we get what appears to be Ymir watching Mikasa. Apparently, she sees a lot of herself in Mikasa, how devoted and in love Mikasa is with someone who's just so objectively horrible. And in that, she saw a reflection of how she feels about King Fritz, the one who enslaved her entire people, kept her as a slave. She still had that Stockholm syndrome where she loved King Fritz, and that's partially why she spent the past 2,000 years still, even after her dying, still dedicated to carrying out King Fritz's orders and wishes. Ymir's seeing something that she could never do, which is killing the one that she loves, not out of hate, but out of love. Which I think it was a very interesting thing for them to do, like the thing that ends the cycles of hatred is love. which I don't mind that idea. I really just wish that if they were gonna have Mikasa be the one to really influence Ymir in her decision for all of this, instead of it being Eren, I wish that there was a little bit more moments of Mikasa really getting the focus and really kind of developing her relationship with Ymir. Just strengthening her connections with that, idea. But I do understand where the story is coming from, and I do see the seeds in which was foretold that this was going to happen. Also, in Eren's death scene, I do like how quick and decisive it was for Mikasa to be able to go ahead and just do what needed to be done. I think that was actually one of the strongest ways that shows Ymir that Mikasa was truly able to get over that hurdle. But I do also wish that this moment was slowed down like a little bit more, just so we could see a little bit more. It didn't even have to be like stretched out that long, but just a little bit more to kind of like look into each other's eyes and really have that like last final moment. So these next few scenes we get of Eren essentially telling his friends, well, specifically we get him in his conversations with Armin, kind of letting them know about the plan and the rumbling and everything, just to give them some kind of closure after all of this happens. Saying part of the reason why he went ahead and went through with this plan is him making a villain a horrific entity that threatens all of humanity, making a threat so horrific and world-ending, that way his friends can then come in, defeat him, and then themselves become heroes of this whole battle. His friends essentially become war heroes who took down the being that killed off 80% of the planet. Which is very Eren logic, but like it kind of sort of works. Anyways, after he tells them these things, he then wipes their memory and says, after I am defeated, y'all will regain y'all memories. In one of these scenes, he actually brings up the point that I was thinking about how destroying everything on the planet, including plant and animal life, will not benefit his friends in any way. In fact, will put them in more danger due to the retaliation of the planet after they were 80% wiped off. Also, just the environmental aspects of causing this much death. He also confirmed the theory that fans had. We get a flashback to like the first episode where his mom gets ate, right? We get confirmation that Eren used his founding powers to direct that Smiling Titan away from Bertolt and towards his mother, because his mother dying is what radicalized him enough to join the Scouts and therefore allow for this whole thing to happen. Armin then decks Eren in the mouth, which love that for him. Okay, Twink, let's get it, Twink. Now, apparently some fans don't like this scene because it shows Eren as being weak, pathetic, selfish, crying about not wanting Mikasa to find someone else, knowing that she loves him apparently, and he's just like, oh, I want her to love me and only me. I want to be selfish. I don't want to die. And like, newsflash, Eren's always been this way. Like, nothing about that scene changes anything about Eren's character. In fact, this is the most Eren-like he's been the entire season. Is it weak? Is it pathetic? Is it selfish? Did I look at him like, are you for real? Yeah. However, that wouldn't be the first time that I've looked at Eren like that. That is exactly the type of behavior that I expected from Eren. You baby Eren's a little punk ass bitch. Also, mind you, fans are like really into his like edgelord like personality, and I'm just like, have you ever like looked at an edgelord? They're all like that. All edgelords are like that. Like it. I'm not understanding the disconnect there. Yeah. So once Mikasa finishes the job, the battle ends, Titan bodies turn to skeleton, and everyone crawls out. No one has Titan markings, except Eren. Come to find out, Eren's last thing with Ymir was to essentially get rid of all Titans, get rid of alien ability to turn into Titans, period. No more Titan shifter, just get rid of the entire thing. Armin cries over Eren's decapitated head, which, like, he's better than me, because me personally, I would have kicked it around like a game of football, but maybe I'm just built different. All the other people that Eren spoke to about his plan then regain their memories. Armin goes to tell everyone that he essentially slayed Eren, stopping the rumbling, and as we see, characters like Levi, Jean and Connie see the fallen comrades one last time before they fade away, all seemingly being able to move on. Everyone hugs and celebrates the ending of the rumbling, and Mikasa goes to bury Eren's head under the tree that he used to nap in. 3 years later, we see Historia with her baby, apparently having written a letter to her friends, talking about the earth and how people are still suffering, but, we're going through a time of healing. But meanwhile, Eldians didn't learn a damn thing, apparently. Because out of fear of retaliation from the rest of the 20% of the population that's still alive, they then make Parody a fascist regime led by the Jaegerists. So thank you very much, Eren, for that. Now Historia and the rest of the Eldians gotta deal with that whole thing, with the world that Eren left them. Thanks for that, Eren. But yeah, we get a montage of the people coming together, trying to rebuild the world, replant life, and the scouts, our crew, going around trying to establish peace between Eldians and the rest of humanity. And lastly, we see Mikasa sitting on the hill underneath the tree that they used to play at, talking to Eren's grave and saying, "Thank you so much for wrapping your scarf around me." End of series. Now during the credits, we get this time lapse of Parody, which seemingly shows them about 100, 200, 300 years into the future as they built up their technology, but eventually getting caught up in another conflict which completely destroys Parody this time. But even after all of that, we see that life was able to grow there again, which some people seem to have a problem with that too, just because it implies that, Eren went through all of that for nothing and, Parody eventually fell anyways, which I think kind of defeats the whole, point that, first of all, Eren is very selfish, he admitted so. He really only wanted to keep him and his friends safe, like the main people on Parody. He didn't really care that much about what happens after him and his friends die. But also, I think that's just realistic. It shows that there was conflict and consequences that happened after this whole thing, It just shows that time progresses and, things happen, life moves on. Not everything stays, all happy ending. Which, considering how depressing, horrific, and tragic this story is, that we even got that much of a happy ending. All things considered, this was actually a relatively pretty peaceful and happy ending for a show that is so overtly it's so heavy. Now from all this hullabaloo about the ending, I was expecting it to be really terrible. I was thinking it was gonna be, it was all a dream kind of terrible ending. Which there was a few scenes that concerned me with Eren and Mikasa and Eren and Armin and all that. But no, all of that made sense. Everything makes sense. And another thing that I thought about was, they only have one episode left. How are they going to tie this entire story up? The final conflict, Eren getting defeated, and then the restoration of the world after this. How are they going to fit all that? Surprisingly, they managed to fit a lot of that into this hour and 30 minutes, and it didn't feel that or as rushed as it could have been. There were some pacing issues that I found, like I said before with Eren's death scene. I think that could have been, paced out a little bit better, and just other, things that kind of went by a little bit quickly. But all things considered, it really wasn't even that rushed of an ending for what it could have been. Overall, this was just a really strong ending to literally one of the best animations of all time. It's just so surreal, just the ending of a series that has been going on for so long. It just feels kind of surreal at this point, just knowing where we came from season 1. It's just so crazy. I never thought we'd end up here. But yeah, that's the majority of what I want to talk about with this finale. I might do another video at some point where I talk about the series in general, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching, if you indeed still are, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.